I'm Darion of the Spotlight Raiders Talk, and you're watching Fan to Fan Network, the voice that sports fans deserve. Just win, baby.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that old line. Car insurance cost the arm and the leg.
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me now? Can y'all hear me now? There we go. There we go. What's going on, Raider Nation? What is going on? It's saying it's unable to link on my Facebook, which I don't understand why. It's saying that it was unable to link. Let me see if it's still going live right now. Yeah, it's saying it's going live right now. Unable to link. I don't understand who commented that. Saying it's unable to link because I'm live right now. But we are here and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. And it's the Spotlight Raiders Talk. I am your host, Darion of the Spotlight Raiders Talk. And we got my co-host, Eli, in the building. What is going on, my guy?
What is good, Raider Nation? How's it going?
Oh, it's going good. It's going good, man. It's going good. It's, some news came out how the Raiders offered Jadeveon Clowney some, a contract. We definitely going to get into that. We got a lot of stuff coming on today. We do have another YouTuber named Allaborde Raiders. Will be coming on and talking about his channel and having help him out and get him to his subscribers as well. So thanks for everybody tuning in on YouTube and on Facebook. Shout out to Vince D. Campos. Thank you for coming in so far. Make sure you share this live. We are here and we are live. What's going on, chat? Chat unable to link to the Raider Nation. Okay. So that means I guess they try to share it, if I'm not mistaken. They try to share it, and I guess it's not working at some instance. That's what it's saying. But it's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine. But how you feeling, man? How was your week last week, man?
Week wasn't bad. Had a nice little 4th of July holiday weekend. Kind of hung out a little bit. Nothing too busy, but it was pretty chill. How about yourself?
It was awesome. It was definitely awesome. I had a great time. Had a great 4th of July weekend. It turned out to be what it was. I ended up going out that night after the barbecue and everything, and I ain't getting the house till like 4 a.m. So I had a little interesting 4th of July weekend. Very, very interesting. So let's get right into the topic at hand. And I went live earlier talking about this. I know it is not really right on the list. It is on the list, but according to Raiders Wire, they think it doesn't make sense. But I just want to talk about it from ourselves that we did offer a contract for Jadeveon Clowney. What was your thoughts on it? Because I know you wanted to talk about it as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's pretty polarizing subject, surprisingly enough, here in Raider Nation. The details, as I understand it, Jadeveon Clowney was looking for about $17 to $18 million and has since kind of walked that back a little bit, even more so. There was a handful of teams, I think 3 or so, that had interest, the Browns being one of them. But that seemed like the amount. Now, just recently, CBS Sports announced that the Raiders' offer is less than any of the other teams involved. So if you're looking at if he was looking at around 17 million or so, you're looking at a deal that's going to be less than that. How much less? We may not know for a while, if at all. But I mean, so you're looking at this point, let's just say $16.5 million, $17 million for Jadeveon Clowney for a year or so. At this point, that's probably what you were looking at for Yannick Ngakoue. And while the numbers don't really back up what Jadeveon Clowney has to offer as much as Ngakoue does, he's still a game changer. Everyone across the league says it, that he's a tough to handle on the pass rush. He had more pressures, not sacks, but pressures than Max Crosby did last year. So the guy can still put pressure on the quarterback from the outside, and he's probably immediately the best at that on the team. I don't care about sack numbers last year. Jadeveon Clowney is a better pass rusher than anyone currently on the Las Vegas Raiders. So he would obviously be an upgrade, but the question really isn't, hey, would he be a beneficial person on the team? Of course he would. He would start over, like I said, anybody. The question is, can you fit that $16 million, $17 million, not just this year, but more than likely, another year, maybe on the books. The Raiders only have about $8 million left right now, so something would have to happen where they would clear at least another $7 or $8 million. So that's kind of the whole scene there. And with that being said, if the Raiders can clear out the space, do it. Do it. This guy is an actual game changer. This is the kind of guy, while he might not actually put the sacks up there, offensive coordinators are planning around Jadeveon Clowney. Very much like they used to plan around Khalil Mack. They know that he's there. There's nobody right now, let's say maybe Crosby, who had a good year, he's not going to sneak up on anybody next year. But the Raiders currently don't have anybody that strikes fear into the hearts of any defenses. When the schedule comes out, they're not circling that and being like, holy crap, we have to block X or Y. Max Crosby, again, got his sacks last year, but he's not a dominant force. So I guess after all that, I'm saying, if you can do it, do it. And I think that the Raiders can just lose a couple pieces and make some moves. Money can be freed up in some ways, I'm sure. So I say you do it.
I say you do it too. Even if I know that for some reasons people say that Seattle wants some, but I completely disagree on that. If Seattle really wanted Jadeveon Clowney back, they would have been re-signed him. That's just being 100% honest with me. They said the Tennessee Titans was involved too, and I think it was the Indianapolis Colts that was involved as well. But if those teams end up falling out, and that's the only offer that he has on the table, he should take it. And I think a lot of people were saying earlier that the Raiders should get with him for 2 years, $21 million. I disagree. I think we should go with 1 year, see what he does, because at the same time, he's injury prone. So you got to think of it as, okay, he's injury prone. You still want to pay him that $21 million. Me, I wouldn't do it if I was a GM. Give him 1 year, give him that almost that 7.5 million, because right now, according to CBS Sports, they do say that we do have at least 8 million in cap space left. And you got to think about it too. Players is going to get released during the preseason, even before the preseason. So it's going to put some cap space. It's going to give us some cap space at the end of the day. But I think we should go out and get him. It helps out this younger crew. He definitely could compete with the Joey Bosa's and the Von Millers of this division. Plus, they have like Frank Clark over there in Kansas City, and then add Jadeveon Clowney to this division, and this makes the defense just better for us overall. So at the end of the day, I feel like it makes sense. But according to Raiders Wire, and I want to get into that, according to Raiders Wire, they said it wouldn't make much sense, and I kind of disagree on what they said, because they saying that they saying exactly 2 months that they have reported that the Raiders was not among the teams potentially interested in Jadeveon Clowney, but the news was greeted that he struggled mainly because he didn't really expect the Raiders to make a play for Clowney at this point. This isn't to say that Raiders have a great pass rushing team. They should be improved, but just how they're just saying how the people that we got could get to the quarterback. I think Max Crosby could get to the quarterback, but they saying that it doesn't make sense, and I disagree with them. And I think this does make sense if we get him for 1 year or 2 years to get him less than 17 million. I think so. I think he's not going to get that 20, 21 million, even that 18, 19 million, just because he's injury prone. And we don't know what type of status he's in as far as after the core surgery. So that's another reason as well.
I mean, honestly, I think Jadeveon Clowney, the argument of the article is kind of almost saying that he's not worth the money. Personally, I do think that at $16 million, Jadeveon Clowney is worth the money. I honestly do think that he will be a game changer in the game wrecker in the running game, and just help this defense to the tune that a $16 million player will do. You want to sign him for a 1-year deal at $16 million? That I think that would be fine with me. You would have to move salary, though. I mean, obviously, I think that's something where you couldn't cut Gabe Jackson. I believe his salary is already guaranteed. So if you cut him, you still lose, I believe, a bunch of salary. You'd have to trade him. And there's a couple other people that might have to move as well. But you have to free up some space because we still need to sign all these rookies. But I personally think, I wasn't for the Jamal Adams trade as much as I am for a 1 year with Jadeveon Clowney. You're probably only going to get him for 1 year because if he balls out, he's making more money elsewhere. He's not going to be able to get re-signed probably by the Raiders. But I think that's a good chance you take to try to push this team over the hump to making a playoff team. Some people say that you just make this move when you're trying to get to the Super Bowl. I think the Raiders need to do what they got to do for this year to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I wasn't really big on the Jamal Adams trade anyway. I just think, honestly, I think Jamal Adams is kind of a jerk, in my personal opinion. I really don't dig him and to be a part of our secondary, knowing that we did add some veteranship to our secondary with the cornerback and the safety position as well. So Jamal Adams definitely would not fit. But they saying that he's not worth it. I disagree with that too. I think that he is worth the money, but is he, to me right now, he's not worth the $21 million that he was asking for in the beginning.
Well, I don't think he's been asking for that for a while. Again, I think he's dialed that down closer to 17. And apparently, reportedly, the Raiders have offered him even less than that. So you're looking at max $17 million, which puts him at a high clip for defensive linemen, but he plays at a high clip. And for those saying that he's not a necessary addition, I don't know how or why getting a better player than what you have already isn't necessary. If you want to win, you got to get talent. And right now, Jadeveon Clowney is the best. If he's on the Raiders, he's automatically the best player on that defensive line, and can be impactful, not just rushing the quarterback, but in the run game as well. So I feel like, if you can make the money work, that's the important thing. I mean, what are you going to give up for that? A lot of people say Gabe Jackson. Everyone's saying how much they want Simpson and Denzel Good and to replace Gabe Jackson anyway. Well, here's your chance. You get rid of Gabe Jackson, you free up some cash. Maybe there's your Jadeveon Clowney. This is a little different too than the Adams thing, because Jamal Adams would have needed to get a new contract that would have made him one of the highest players at his position for years to come. Whereas this is just 1 year, make it work with the money, and you have an impact player on the defensive line.
Absolutely, and people need to understand that. People need to fail to realize just his name alone, Jadeveon Clowney will force double teams because of his name alone. Just the impact that he had coming in. They thought he was a bust because he hurt his leg. And then if you see the games that he played in Seattle, he didn't get to the quarterback, but he made sure that it was pass deflections. He made sure he got a forced fumble. He did some things to help that Seattle defense. And I think that's what we need. We need a type of player that draws attention to free up for Cleveland Farrell, for Maurice Hurst, for Max Crosby, just to free them up to get those one-on-one positions on the defensive side. That's why I say give him 1 year, let him prove that contract that he can stay healthy, and then if we had the money to re-sign him, then we just re-sign him. That's just my scenario. I just don't know. Giving him 2 or 3 years on a contract and that's $17 million guarantee, knowing the fact that he just had that core surgery, I'll be a little tentative on giving him that $17 million, knowing he just had that core surgery.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm of the favor of a 1 year deal in essence. Just give him 1 year. You're probably not going to sign again. If all goes well, you're probably not going to sign him because he probably had 8 to 10 sacks, and now everybody wants to sign him for $20 million. So worst case scenario is, worst case scenario is he just doesn't perform. But, if he's performed like he previously has in his career, he's going to be a benefit to the Raiders defense to the tune of $60 million.
Absolutely, absolutely. I did talk about it earlier, so if you do want to go watch that live on YouTube and on Facebook, y'all can both go watch those lives right over there at the Spotlight Raider Talk. So we're just going to get into some other topics that we have on here, because later on we will be having Allaborde Raiders on the show in a second. Just waiting for him to come in at this moment. But we want to get into the first topic of the night. The first topic of the night is according to JustBlawBaby.com, and it's saying that the Las Vegas Raiders secondary will have plenty of camp battles. And now this is something that I really wanted to talk about in my personal opinion, because it's going to be a lot of camp battles. It's going to be a lot of camp battles, especially for the secondary and for most of especially the wide receiver position. Who's going to be that fourth wide receiver? Who's going to be on special teams? At the same time, the Las Vegas Raiders does have a solid depth at the secondary heading into the summer, and there's going to be some solid camp battles in this summer. It says, since becoming the general manager of the Raiders franchise, Mike Mayock has made a concerted effort to get better in the secondary, from using first round picks and to veterans via free agency. Mayock has done the best revamped group that he has been since the Achilles heels for the franchise for a while now. So in 2019, they did draft Mississippi State Jonathan Abram in the first round, then Clemson quarterback Trayvon Mullen in the second. Later on, they brought on Houston cornerback Isaiah Johnson, who has sit most of his rookie season due to an injury. Now, the addition of Mike Mayock was able to spend money on Mayock spent big money on Los Angeles Rams back LaMarcus Joyner, which he still has to prove himself as well, in my personal opinion. And they brought on Jeff Heath, Demarius Randall, and Prince Amukamara through free agency. So the first matchup that they have, according to JustBlawBaby.com, they do have Prince Amukamara versus Damon Arnett as a camp battle, saying that with the 19th overall selection in the 2020 draft, the Raiders did select Damon Arnett out of Ohio State, a very solid cover guy who plays the game with the alpha and mentality. In the pick came a bit of surprise, knowing the first round grade of Arnett, but he was a teammate of Jeff Okudah in Ohio State as well. So they expect so Prince Amukamara and Damon Arnett is expected to fight for that starting job of the opposite of Trayvon Mullen, who would be a part of the cornerback one of the rookie season last year. So Amukamara is a former first round pick and a Super Bowl champion. How do you feel about this camp battle going into training camp and having 2 preseason games as well? How do you feel about this matchup here?
Well, I mean, obviously this is the big one, right? To see how David, Arnett can perform, and if he can perform at a high level right out of the gate. I'm not expecting him to, and I don't think that anybody should be discouraged if he does not win this out of camp. I think that a lot of people in the Raiders organization are probably expecting Amukamara to just kind of have that class already of a professional and be able to step in, learn the defense, and be that week one starter. But I think the most important thing is, how does Arnett kind of learn, and how quickly does he pick up the defense to be able to supplant him, as cornerback 2, or just get some snaps ASAP. So I do think my gut tells me that Amukamara is going to win this out of camp. But at the end of the season, it's going to be Arnett is going to be a quality starting cornerback, much like Trayvon Mullen was last year.
Absolutely. I was just sending the link over to Allaborde Raiders. My bad. But I can agree with that. I feel like Prince Amukamara can win the job, just because we really don't have a lot of people that can actually start at this moment, in my personal opinion. But if it comes down to it and Prince Amukamara does not show up the way he's supposed to show up, then Damon Arnett could definitely come in and make this starting job. And this is what's crazy, because I don't know if people play Madden, but now they have downloaded rosters where you could get the rookies from this past draft. Why they have Damon Arnett overall at 87 in the downloaded rosters? I'm like him and I like him and Prince Mukamara. I'm like, okay, so they have Prince Mukamara at 80 and Damon Arnett at 87. So that is pretty interesting to see. This battle between them two. I think both of them is going to be a great matchup. Um, the next the next question that they have on this article is who starts the opposite of Jonathan Abram. Now, last season we got a small group of glimpse of Jonathan Abram and a confident safety out of Mississippi State, which who was our first round pick in 2019. Now we all know Abram plays the games like the Raiders, not afraid to come up and kill people, give big hits, big play aggressive style, and led him to having a season injury during week one. He's still going to continue to play with the intensity, but the real question is who's going to start alongside of that safety spot position. Yeah, I think we brought in Jeff Heath, we brought in Demarius Randall, and we do have still Eric Harris as a big breakout year for him last year. So the fact that the Raiders have three guys who'll be battling for the position is good news. And Harris did show last year that he is starter capability. But me personally, they thinking according to Just Blah Baby, they're saying that they believe in Randall is going to get the first chance to take the starting job. But Heath and Harris will both be solid players. Any one of them can be the next man standing on if Abram gets hurt again. And whoever can start next to him within week one. How you feel about that? Because knowing me, like I feel like Demarius Randall is the more veteran in my personal opinion. So, who do you think before we bring on Allaborde Raiders? Because he's waiting in the queue right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all pretty much everything that you said and read from that article. I think, Demarius Randall, it's his job right now to lose in camp. I think everybody's expecting him to perform at a level where he keeps that starting job going into the season and hopefully excels. A couple months back, we said who's going to lead the team in interceptions. I think you said Jonathan Abram, and I think it's going to be Demarius Randall will lead this team in interceptions next year. So I think he's going to be a starter, and I think he's going to be a starting quality starter for the Raiders in 2020.
Look what we have here. We have Allaborde Raiders here with us today. And make sure y'all go subscribe to his channel. I do have the link in the description. What's going on, man? How is great to have you here, man. What's going on?
Thank you guys so much for having me. I feel like it's been a long time coming, and I'm excited to talk some Raiders.
Oh, it's been a long time coming. I know you've been so busy with everything, and I know you've been doing like your mat and stuff with Raiders too. So they've been some interesting videos too. So we was talking about the position battles in the secondary. They was just talking about Jonathan Abram going to be that starter, but I think I agree with Eli as well that we're going to have Demarius Randall starting along with Jonathan Abram. What is your thoughts on that?
I think if I had to put money on it, I would for sure say Demarius is going to be that number two. I'm more interested to see who comes in as the backup between Eric Harris and Jeff Heath, because I like Eric Harris and I don't like Jeff Heath because he's the reason Carr fumbled out of the back of the end zone. But I'm more interested to see that backup job.
I think it's interesting with that backup job and Eric Harris. The Raiders really did lack a lot of talent and impact talent there in the back end of their defense last year after Abram went down. So I don't know. Is Eric Harris just kind of his 2019 season a result of just not having anyone better? Or did he really step out, and is he a quality player? So, I'm interested to see kind of how that pans out too, because the person that's looking, on the outside looking in, are they just a special teams player? Or are they even making the team at that point if Demarius Randall is, indeed the starter? Because as we've talked about a couple times in this show, you always have the potential now for Joyner to get some snaps at either safety spot. So with that potential as well, and if one of these other younger cornerbacks shows capability of being a starter or a replacement level slot guy, one of those safeties might not be on the Raiders start the season.
Yeah, I really love what y'all had to say about that, because I feel like Eric Harris, the question is, like you said, the question is, can he repeat his 2019 success that he had last year? And then Jeff Heath, we all know Jeff Heath was the starting safety / special teamer for the Dallas Cowboys last year. I think he finally came on and had a breakout year, in my personal opinion. But right now, the best fit, if you want turnovers and you want someone that could get interceptions, knowing that Demarius Randall can play some corner as well, so that can be another position battle. If Eric Harris end up going up, going with Jonathan Abram, and he goes compete with LaMarcus Joyner. You just don't know. It's so many position battles that you can have. So, in my personal opinion, yeah, I think so. I think I froze. Can y'all still hear me?
I can hear you. You got a really funny photo of yourself though, frozen.
Let me just refresh. I'll be back.
I will also say, I mean, we do play the Colts this year, and I believe Harris had an interception return for a touchdown against the Colts and against Phillip Rivers with the Chargers. So, I mean, maybe they just keep him on the roster just for that one game. Who knows?
Okay, I'm back.
I was going to say that. I was going to say we should play Eric Harris, but only against the Colts so we can get 3 more interceptions or whatever. Yeah.
Right on.
So before we, why am I freezing up again? I'm just not understanding this right now. Why am I freezing up again?
You can blame it on
if
me.
y'all can't see me, hopefully that y'all can hear me. But I do want to ask, Rodney, I wanted to ask you about your channel. What made you start your channel? What made you start your channel? I know that you a Raiders fan and stuff like that. So what made you wanted to start your Raiders channel?
Well, I mean, I've been making YouTube videos for I think since 2009. I have another channel where I just talk about movie stuff, and that obviously had to take a back seat because we can't go to the movie theaters right now. But I was in college, and it was one of those days where I was like, why are there so many Derek Carr haters? I got to do something about this. So I made this stupid like game show type video about Derek Carr. It's the first video I ever put on my channel, and people responded well to it. So I kept making Raider videos, and then I decided to do the Madden ones. And I was nervous to do them because I was like, oh, people didn't subscribe because of the Madden content. They're not going to like this. And those videos seem to be doing the best. So I'm continuing to do the Madden Raiders stuff, and that's how I got here.
The Madden Raider stuff are pretty dope. If anybody that's watching right now, if y'all have not subscribed, make sure y'all go over and subscribe to Allaborde Raiders. That is an awesome channel. He does a show every week. Hopefully I can get on your channel sooner or later. But how long you been a Raiders fan, man? I know I've been a Raiders fan since 1998. I feel old, but Eli's older than me, so he's been a Raiders fan for a long time now. But how long you been a Raiders fan, and what made you become a Raiders fan?
Well, I guess I've technically been a Raider fan since 1998 because that's the year I was born. But I was a Raiders fan because my dad was a Raiders fan. I live in Pennsylvania. We grew up in Pennsylvania, so we're Pirates fans and Penguins fans. But for some reason, my dad, when he was younger, gravitated towards the Raiders, so that's the team I picked. My first Raider memory is going to see them play the Baltimore Ravens. It was Joe Flacco's rookie year. He caught a touchdown pass. It was a disaster. But ever since then, I've been latching on, and I haven't let go yet.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So,
yeah,
I know everybody has their favorite Raider player of all time. Who is your greatest Raiders player of all time that will always stick for you for the rest of your life?
We can go with I'll try to pick a not so obvious player because obviously I feel like the one that I would say is Charles Woodson. I remember when he came back, I think it was 2014 or one of those years, 2013, 2014, when he came back right before he was going to sign his contract. I remember seeing all the Raiders players swarming the building, don't let him leave. And I remember the season where he finally picked off Peyton Manning. He did it twice in one game. So the obvious answer would be Charles Woodson. But I've always had, and this is going to sound so stupid, I've always had a sentimental thing in my heart for Bruce Gradkowski. He was the first Raider quarterback that was not terrible that I remember seeing. And he had some crazy games where he would run people over and throw insane passes. I don't know why, but he's just stuck in my head as the first wow, he's actually not terrible.
The Raiders had some seriously terrible quarterbacks. If Gradkowski's the guy that sticks out in your mind as one of your heroes, I think he was. Let's be fair. I think that you share. A lot of people share in that kind of admiration for Gradkowski. I think he was kind of one of those dudes. I mean, that Pittsburgh game alone, when he kind of came back and was just throwing the ball all over the place, that was a great memory for sure. So, but yeah, I mean, going back to the whole Carr thing, people kind of just forget how much of a black hole, for lack of a better term, of quarterbacks this was since Rich Gannon went down. So, yeah, Gradkowski for sure.
Yeah, I remember Gradkowski too. I was like, wow, like I forgot all about him at first. I totally forgot about him at first. But Cliff Wan said, "How about George Blanda?" I mean, I think that's your personal opinion, Cliff Wan. I mean, that's your personal opinion with that. Tell them Al Davis and Jamarcus Russell. I don't know who Snake is, but we don't want to name Jamarcus Russell in the Raiders anymore. We don't want to do that.
I know what he's talking about. It's a video I posted on my channel. That's Corey. He's one of my long-time viewers. I've been doing this for less than a year. One of my viewers. But I don't want to say the whole thing because it's a video on my channel. And if you want to hear the whole story, check it out. But essentially what happened was thanks to my dad being I don't even know the word to describe it. He was very clever about finding where the Raiders were staying in a specific hotel. And long story short, I had dinner right next to Al Davis and Jamarcus Russell. So that was what happened. At the time, what Mel Kiper said, Jamarcus Russell was going to be the next John Elway. So it was cool at the time, but didn't work out that way. But that's the story that he's referring to. It was pretty nuts. But go check that video. I don't want to spoil the whole thing.
They said Lester Hayes, nice jersey, Eli.
Appreciate it.
Oh, so we I think it was other camp battles that they did have on here as well. They saying that can Amik Robinson unseat LaMarcus Joyner. That's been kind of a topic that I've seen lately on Twitter. They saying last offseason one of the key additions to the Raiders defense was LaMarcus Joyner, who was coming off a breakout season with the Rams at the time. It was expected to help and lead this young secondary. Instead, they moved him to slot, which had a negative effect on Joyner, who struggled mightily hard. Like, he struggled crazy with the silver and black. But they saying if Robinson unseats Joyner, that presents the Raiders for another good problem to have, as Joyner is a stellar at safety for the Rams in 2018. Overall, the quality players in the defensive backfield is much better heading into 2020 campaign. And these battles can be fun and keep an eye out on for all summer long. Do y'all think Amik Robinson could unseat LaMarcus Joyner? What are y'all opinions on what was just said?
I think I've said this before. I find it, I'm going to find it difficult to wrap my head around a week one Amik Robertson supplanting Joyner as the slot cornerback. I think Joyner is going to be given all the opportunity in the world to prove that 2019 was a fluke, and he is still a starting quality nickel cornerback. He's been that in his career. He's far better at safety, but he can play the nickel position, albeit maybe not as good as free safety that he did for the Rams. I think Robertson's going to be a good player in the future for the Raiders. Again, he's never really played the slot in college. He translates well there with his size and his quickness, I guess. He's always played on the outside, so that's another thing that maybe he needs to kind of learn to play from that position a bunch more. So maybe in the middle of the season, they're looking and seeing that Robertson is really coming on in that position. And I think if that's the case, you always have the ability to move Joyner somewhere else. I still feel that Joyner is a benefit to this team if he can play at his top level, which he obviously didn't do last year. But going back to the answer, no, I don't think that Robertson's going to supplant him this year as a slot cornerback. You have other guys on the team that might, though.
I mean, if you think about last year, how long it took for Trayvon Mullen to finally become our number one cornerback, and that was with a whole off season of OTAs and rookie mini camps. That's something we of course don't have right now. So if that does happen, I wouldn't say until well after the bye week that he does overtake him at some point.
Yeah. And let's not forget too, I mean, you have people existing, like veterans existing on the roster that can play in the slot. Damaris Randall played in the slot a little bit for Green Bay. I mean, he wasn't a stud. He played better than Joyner did in 2019 though. So there's other options. And if Arnett kind of comes on in later in the season, Amuka Mar can perhaps play some in the slot. So the good news is, and I think what the underhanded, the compliment it's giving with, this discussion is, there are some options if everybody can play at a high level to which we expect them to play, the high draft picks and the guys that we're looking forward to seeing, like the Isaiah Johnsons of the world.
Yeah, I feel like I don't think he's ready to unseat LaMarcus Joyner. I think you got to put LaMarcus Joyner where he fits best in the scheme. And me personally, I think it's safety, but in the same time, like you do have a Demarius Randall back there, and just in case you could throw it out there. God forbid if anything that happens to Abram again this year, would you want to put Heath or Harris or LaMarcus Joyner back there? So now you have a three players that could probably take that position. God forbid, and Abrams goes down. And me personally, I think LaMarcus Joyner would fit better than both of them as of right now. No, Eric Harris, no offense to Eric Harris, he had a great year last year, but put Lamar as Paul Guttner as a defensive coordinator. You got to see what LaMarcus Joyner could do at that safety position. You have to. He struggled last year as a slot corner, knowing that that's not really what he fits. It doesn't fit his talent when it comes to that scheme. Give him a shot. Have him start a few games. See if he could do better than what he did at the slot corner. Then you make a decision from there. Just give him that test. Make him prove himself. Because I think if you keep him at the slot, LaMarcus Joyner is going to be uncomfortable. And he's not going to be happy with that fit, in my personal opinion. All right, so we're going to go off to the next topic here. And I don't know if y'all seeing the countdown. The countdown to the NFL season. But right now we are 69 days into the opening game of 2020. And we start the countdown with the best players at every jersey number. And today we focus on number 69.
Nice.
So number 69, it does have a few things said here. It said with a few months away, you take a look at the best players to wear the numbers of the days left before the opener, which is September 13th, 2020 against the Carolina Panthers. That game would kick off a new era in Raiders football. So we continue our series with the number 69. This is according to JustBallBaby.com. Now they're saying that Eric Kush is the current Raiders player to wear 69, and he's entering his first season with the franchise. Kush came over to Las Vegas according to free agency, and spending his last season with the Cleveland Browns, and he expected to challenge for a roster spot as a versatile backup behind the stout Raiders offensive line in 2020. The number 69 is an interesting one in Raiders history and has only been worn by a handful of players, and no player outside of our selection has worn it more than a season. Right now, what it's looking like is Khalif Barnes, from 2009 to 2015. Khalif Barnes was selected by the Jacksonville Jaguars in the second round of the 2005 NFL Draft, all Pac-12 season for the Washington Huskies. Barnes was entered the league in the starting left tackle for the Jaguars and started every single game appeared in over his first 4 years of his NFL career. Now in 2009, Barnes landed with the Oakland Raiders, making the move to the right side of the line, starting a handful of games. He became the team's starting right tackle in 2011. In the NFL season, it will go on to become a full-time starter for the Silver and Black across the 4 years. Now, the highlight of Barnes' career with the Raiders was in 2010 when he caught a touchdown pass from quarterback Jason Campbell. Overall, he was a constant lineup for multiple seasons for the Raiders while played on some bad teams. Barnes lands as the best Raider to wear number 69 in team history. What is y'all opinion on that? I would love to hear y'all opinion on this. I don't know any other.
Yeah, I mean, I think
we're number 69. You know,
they said it. I mean, I don't think anybody else really wore that. I mean, Khalif Barnes is the best player Yeah, it can't be a lot of a lot in the queue there waiting. So yeah, I mean he was fine. He was a starting quality tackle for a while. So yeah, not a lot of 69s, I guess.
Yeah, he's probably the definition of just an average NFL player.
That's exactly where I got from it. That's exactly what I got from it, bro. You got to start saying Jonathan Abram's name is killing me. Listen, I could say it the way I see it.
Salmon or Salmon?
I'll just say A. I should say J.A. I'll just say J.A. from now on, just as a nickname, J.A. It can kill you all you want. I just say I see Abram. That's all I see. Everybody say it differently. That's just my personal opinion. I'm sorry, Melvin. I don't want no problems. I don't want no problems with y'all. But make sure y'all go follow and subscribe to Allaborde Raiders. The link is definitely in the description. We are here on the Spotlight Raiders Talk. Make sure y'all follow us on Facebook, and follow us on YouTube as well. Make sure you subscribe to both of our channels. So we're just going to go down the list of the topics. I know I didn't get a chance to send you the topics. I've been running around, and then my parents, I was going to do this actual show from my parents' house, and power ended up going out. So I had to rush all the way home, set it up, and get everything together for this actual show. So we finally able to get it done here. Now they saying, mind you, we got a couple more topics from Just Ball Baby. We're going to go to some other ones too. So they saying the Las Vegas Raiders still have options at the cornerback position via free agency, which I'm not really a too big fan of some of these players. So the players that they do have, I'm not going to read all of this. Right now, they do have Dre Kirkpatrick, former Cincinnati Bengals, former first-round pick in 2012. He came out of Alabama with the number 17 overall selection, two-time national champion with the Crimson Tide. Kirkpatrick took a few years to become a starter, but he definitely proved as a valuable member of the Bengals defense in 2015 and 2018. Now, y'all got to remember that Drake Kirkpatrick did play under Paul Guttner when Paul Guttner was in Cincinnati. So, as far as him so far, do you think we should go out and get another corner, knowing that we do have $8 million in cap space? I want to hear y'all view on that, because we want to go through everyone that they have listed. But Drake Kirkpatrick is the first one on the list, knowing that he did play under Paul Guttner's defense. So I do want to hear y'all opinions on try to get him in free agency.
I mean, honestly, from a personal opinion, I don't really know how many we need to talk about. As per our last discussion, there's a lot of players vying for cornerback spots. Now, granted, not all of them might play up to their potential or play up to the expectations, especially the rookies. But you're still looking at guys like Isaiah Johnson that have a chance to be a starter. At this point, no, I don't think the Raiders need to go out and, get any more cornerbacks. If camp starts and all of a sudden it turns out that, wow, actually Arnett can't turn left or something like that, then, we're in panic mode and we got to find somebody. But at this point, there's a lot of young guys vying for some playing time. I say you see what they have to offer.
Yeah, I agree. I'd always rather develop corners than sign free agents or trade for people, unless it was Darius Slay, which almost happened. But I think I'd rather just wait it out, especially with the whole Clowney thing. I don't want to be looking for other people in case he does decide for some reason he wants to come here for less money. So I think right now we should probably hold off.
Yeah, I agree too. It's just that they saying that knowing most of these Bengal players played under Paul Guttner, that's why they're looking at them. So they do have another one on this list, and that's Darquise Dennard. So that's another one that they have on this list. That's a former Cincinnati Bengal that played under Paul Guttner's defense when Paul Guttner was there. They do have another one in sight, Aqib Talib, which I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of Aqib Talib. Absolutely not. The guy can't stay healthy. He can't stay healthy whatsoever. We've been talked about Logan Ryan. Logan Ryan's problem is that he just don't want to bring down his guaranteed money. that's the problem with Logan Ryan. That's why he's still on the market, because he don't want to bring down his actual salary. I feel like right now, I understand that you had a good year in Tennessee and you want that money, but right now, a lot of teams not on the market is really trying to spend their money on a corner. Yes, they're trying to bring depth, but they're not trying to spend money just to bring depth. They're not trying to spend as much money what he's looking for. They just want to bring depth to their team. So I do agree with y'all, but I think with the Cincinnati Bengals, with those two corners, they could come. I think one of them could come in and help the players on their scheme, knowing that they know Paul Guttner's scheme when he was at Cincinnati. I think one of them will sign just to have that position battle, but they won't be on the team long. That would just be my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think that. I mean, who knows? I mean, camp battles and camp bodies aside, I really do think they're going to focus on getting as many eyeballs and as many snaps for Robertson, for Isaiah Johnson, and obviously for Arnett. And anybody else that steps on the field is really, just taking time away from evaluating those guys. So yeah, Amukamara is on the team to be a starter in case those guys can't. Unless you have somebody that's an upgrade on him, then he's expendable at that point. I don't see it unless, again, you start with camp and then those guys prove they actually can hack it in the NFL.
Yeah, I 1,000% agree. I think I'd rather re-sign Michael Crabtree than Aqib Talib at this point.
Oh, what a terrible human being he is.
Don't get me wrong, I love Michael Crabtree, and Derek Carr did too. So when if Crabtree decides to come back, he was just a problem in the locker room that second year under Jack Del Rio. He was a problem in the locker room that rubbed people the wrong way and actually had Del Rio lose his job. Knowing at that, I think it really lost his job after that whole second fight between him and Aqib Talib. That was another thing too. So I wish we could get Crabtree back. I would love to have Crabtree back.
Me too.
I like him.
Yeah, I mean, Derek Carr loved him. He had his career year with us, as Derek Carr had a career year with him. So why not bring him in? I mean, there's a few. We're gonna talk about some wide receivers as well in this show, but we want to get into 3 reasons that the Las Vegas Raiders will exceed expectations in 2020. I'm not going to go through this too much, but they saying a lot of people are saying that they have us. They did have us finishing 9-7 most of the year of this year and making the playoffs. But a lot of people are saying that after seeing the reinforcements on the defense and the shiny new toys at John Gruden's disposal on offense, it's hard not to think that the Raiders will improve their record from a year ago. Last season, we were 6-4 through halfway through the year, in the first 11 weeks, and then before we was first in the division and everything for some reason, and it fell apart in the second half of the season, going 1-5 down the stretch to miss the playoffs again. But they're saying the 3 reasons is that the revamped defense with Corey Littleton, Nick Kowalski, and the rookies like Tanner Muse. And you still have Trayvon Mullen coming back as well. And they think Mullen could be a lockdown corner. So and LaMarcus Jordan and all of those, and Amik Robinson and Damon Arnett. That's one of them that they say. That's one of the big reasons that one of us might, one of the 3 reasons that the Raiders can exceed expectations for this year. The second one is the depth and the stability along the offensive line. Now, Eli, you have said that depth killed us last year. It killed us last year. So having depth and having that offensive line with, the guys is Rodney Hudson, Richie Incognito, Colton Miller, Gabe Jackson. We have some good offensive linemen, and I think if they stay healthy, knowing that we have John Devey, Denzel Good, David Sharp, Eric Kush to come in and bring some depth, not a problem with it. And they saying that the endless weapons on offense we already know the players on offense like the Henry Ruggs, Brian Edwards, Nelson Aguilar that we brought in as well. So as far as I think me and Eli we did our record predictions so many times on this show alone, Rodney. But what are your expectations as far as these three reasons? But outside of them, what are your expectations going into this 2020 season?
I think it's interestingly enough, similarly to last year, if we can just battle through the first, what is it, 5-6 weeks of the season, come out, 3-2, I think there's no chance we don't make the playoffs. I think the ceiling is 11-5, the floor is 9-7. I think the most important thing that wasn't mentioned on that list, well, kind of, was depth at wide receiver. Like last year, like I like Rico Gafford and JJ Nelson, but the fact that they were catching meaningful touchdowns was absolutely ludicrous to me. Now, instead of Zay Jones starting, you could bring him in off the bench. I think that's a big deal, along with Derek Carr's first time in his career. It's the third year in the same offense. I think 10-6 is more than reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, I think they probably just should have changed that from endless weapons on offense to existing weapons out on the outside. And that really just makes all the difference in the world, like you said. I just think if Henry Ruggs, I think we've said a lot of times, or at least I have, that I don't see him being a guy that's going to catch 75, 80 passes. But if the guy can at least make plays from the outside and be a weapon, and, the other two, Bowden Jr. and Brian Edwards can just make contributions, and Aguilar can do the same. I mean, you're looking at, and Tyrell Williams can stay healthy. You're looking at just an actual pro quality receiving core, which, I mean, who knows? That could have been the difference between the Raiders scoring a couple more points in a couple games and actually making the playoffs last year. Who knows?
And I'll have to be the last one to say, but I think bringing in Nick Kowalski and Corey Littleton was the main reason of going out and getting them, because that was one of our weakest links. Probably the weakest link was the linebacker position. So I think one of those reasons, I did love the fact that they did say Corey Littleton and Nick Kowalski, but I have to agree with Rodney and you, Eli. The offense is really going to what matters, because like we couldn't score in the red zone to save our life last season. We struggled so much in the red zone, and now we have so many weapons on the offense. They should have talked about more the depth of the offense and more the depth of the defensive line. A lot of defensive line has not been talked about either. What we got in free agency, bringing in Malik Collins, bringing in Carl Nassib, with the Max Crosby and Cleveland Farrell. We don't know what's going to happen with PJ Hall, but I do like Jonathan Hankins and Maurice Hurst. So I do like the defensive line rotation going into 2020. Outside of me, I'll agree with you, Rodney. I did say 10-6, but I'll be satisfied with 9-7, even 8-8 if that happens. As long as we're 500, as long as we have the same amount of wins or more wins than what we had last year, I'll take that. I'll take that. I cannot afford to go 7-9 again or 6-10. It'll be so depressing. It wouldn't make no damn sense for me. It'll be depressing, and I'll just be like, I don't want to say the word, but I'll be pissed off.
It's not going to happen. Don't worry.
I'll be pissed off. Like, what is going on? We got the players. We put them in a position, but why we're not executing? What is really going on? So
yeah, the only thing, everything seems to be there, right? The only thing in the world that makes me pause and makes me nervous, I'm sure like every other fan, is the 2017 season. It was the same thing. We're lined up. We have the same exact, stars on offense, stars on defense. You add Marshawn Lynch, everything's there. We win the first two games. I remember being at that Washington Redskins game, that tailgate. Everyone thought we were going to the Super Bowl, and boom, 6-10 season. I don't even get it. So it can all be there, and then something weird can happen, and it can all go away. But I'm kind of with you. I don't see how a 6-10, 7-9 season could happen with a team that is improved this much from a team that was there till the end in 2019. I just can't see it.
And don't overestimate the impact that Bill Musgrave had on Derek Carr. And then what do they do by rewarding him is fire him for tie downing.
I thought it was the dumbest move in Raiders history to get rid of Bill Musgrave.
So stupid.
I love Bill Musgrave's offense, but I had to understand the fact that even if Bill Musgrave was there, John Gruden still wanted his people, regardless. I don't think he would have took Bill Musgrave under his wing. I think he wouldn't have did it because John Gruden loved to call the calls. But Bill Musgrave was great for Derek Carr in 2016. Had his career year under Bill Musgrave. And mind you, we really didn't have the weapons that we have. Yeah, we had Seth Roberts, we had Michael Crabtree and Jared Cook, but the weapons that we have now is better than 2016's. But at the same time, Bill Musgrave was just a genius. He was just a genius, and for him to get fired like that and hire somebody that's not that great of an offensive coordinator, I just didn't see it at all. I didn't see it. Yeah, but he's not Gruden, but he was very innovative. That's what people are saying in the chat. Bill Musgrave was very innovative, and people don't understand that. John Gruden needs to get out the 2001 and 2002 offense. He has to. I understand, like, yeah, you want to do the I formation, which I don't mind it because we got one of the best backs in the league. But you gotta put the wrinkle dinks and throw defensive offs.
I mean, I'm old, but I got to be 100% transparent. I love it. There's nothing that is better in my life than getting up and, like, having to walk the dog, and the Raiders are still on a 10-play, 15-play, 10-minute drive, running the ball, 12 times. And, the problem is you just got to score at the end of the day. If the Raiders put the ball in the end zone inside the 5 and then goal to go at a higher clip last year, they're an offense everybody's talking about. So that's just me. I understand that everybody wants to see the ball flinging all around, but I've seen a John Gruden's offense dink and dunk its way to perfection, and it's a thing of beauty. So hopefully we can see a little bit of both next year.
Yeah, I think John Gruden calls a great game for 3 quarters. I think the third quarter, it looks like we might as well not even play. It doesn't make sense to me how flat we come out in the third quarter. It makes no sense.
That's the problem. Like, he called the first and second quarter great.
Amazing.
Amazing. He called it down. He called it straight down the middle. But when it comes to that third and fourth quarter, that's my problem with Gruden. He gets so complacent and conservative in the second half, and Bill Musgrave was not that type. I love John Gruden. I loved him his first tenure here. He was a genius in Tampa Bay, knowing that he did leave us to kill us in the Super Bowl with, knowing that what we did last year. But at the same time, you got to look at it. John Gruden got to come with the Joneses of things. Yeah, you can pass the ball, but there's so many ways to run the football in the NFL. Just not downhill. If you have the talent on the outside, give them some jet sweeps, do some reverses. Not saying do it on every drive, but you got to mix it up here and there instead of just running I formation, then there's a 3 and out. Then you want to throw a play action.
I think he had a pretty good look at the San Francisco 49ers offense last year and their ability to run the ball from every different angle with every different, combination of running backs. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot more of that. I know that people think that Bowden's going to be more of a trick play guy. He's going to be part of the offense running the ball a lot more than some people think. So, yeah, I mean, hey, I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. I just hope that Gruden just gets, like, we got the players. We just got to execute. We got the players.
I think we will.
We got the players. We just got to execute. So we're going to go on to the next topic. And hopefully I think we talked about the JV and Clowney thing. You was not here for that, Rodney. So if you want to, talk about it, how do you feel about the Raiders making an offer for Javion Clowney?
I'm so indifferent. Like, if we sign him, I'll be so excited. It's one of those things where if we sign him, I'll be so excited. But if we don't sign him, he goes to Cleveland, I'll convince myself, we didn't need him. But for the right price, I think Jadeveon Clowney would fit great. He looks like one of those players that belongs in the silver and black. I think him and Crosby, that would enlist a lot of fear into a lot of, offensive lines. But again, it's one of those things where either way, I'll convince myself that Mayock made the right decision.
I think it's a pretty good point. I had said that, for the right amount of money, I think it's a no-brainer. But again, if the Raiders don't want to just shuffle around some players to make the room, and they can't, it's fine. Let's go, Max. Kick some ass.
So, according to Melvin Barlow, he said no on Clowney. Mayock is smart and won't do this. This is a move Gruden wants, and Gruden isn't the best team builder. It makes no sense because it will slow the development of Cleveland Farrell. I disagree.
Yeah, I don't.
I disagree.
How that stunts his development at all. I mean, every great defensive line across the NFL rotates players in and out. I mean, last year it seemed like Farrell, and a lot of the rookies kind of petered out towards the end anyway. Bringing him along slowly and giving him, putting him in the position to succeed as much as possible, that's what's going to make Cleveland Farrell a better football player, not just throwing him in there snap after snap after snap and putting unexpected or unattainable pressures on him as a number 4 pick. Why don't you just have him play behind a guy like Clowney and spell him and Max Crosby and be able to cherry pick how he can affect the game better? I don't see how that affects him at all.
And I mean, even like imagine, because we know Cleveland Farrell played a little bit of D tackle last year to stop the run. Imagine an offensive line that's Hurst, Farrell, Clowney, and Crosby. Why would you not want to have that again for the right price? I disagree with that.
Yeah, I disagree with that as well because I feel like he could learn a lot from Clowney. Now Clowney's impact on a field, like just in case if you put like in a rotational play, you put Clowney on one side and Cleveland Farrell, and Clowney gets double teamed. That opens it up for Farrell to get to the quarterback or stop the run. We all know that Clowney is a great run stopper. He doesn't get to the quarterback, but he knows how to do pass deflections. He knows how to force fumbles, and we need turnovers from the defensive line. I don't see how they say it will mess up Cleveland Farrell. Clowney's a vet. He could learn from Clowney. And if Clowney wants to come here and be a Raider and wear that silver and black, knowing that we are in Las Vegas, so why not?
Yeah.
So we're going to go, speaking of AFC teams, because we do have some Chiefs fans in here, so surprisingly. We all knew about and I'm going to talk about it now before we go into that topic. How do y'all feel about all right, so Melvin Barlow said long-term or a 1-year deal. Me and Eli agreed that a 1-year deal would be great for Javion Clowney. Yep. You agree with that, Rodney?
Yeah, 1-year deal.
Yep. Yeah, 1-year deal. And if he improves, then he gets re-signed with us. But right now, 1-year deal. And play incentives. Yeah, I would say that too. But Patrick Mahomes, I don't really want to talk about this, but it's been talked about everywhere on radio stations. The guy just got a 10-year, $400 million contract extension. We're not going to talk much about it because this is a Raider show, but this is our division at the same time. How in the hell do y'all feel about this, that we have to go up against this guy for the next 10 years? What are your opinions on this?
I mean, I think in 5 years, it's going to look like a pretty good deal for the Chiefs with the way that, these quarterbacks are being paid, to be perfectly honest with you. That Dak's going to get, his next contract's going to push up against that, if not be bigger, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, hey, listen, the Chiefs know that they have the best player in the NFL, and they know they're going to have to pay, they're going to have to pay high up front to get him for 10 years. So, I'm just bummed that we're definitely going to, we're more than likely going to see him in a Chiefs uniform for 10 years. Maybe it's a Tom Brady situation. He's there for 20, but he's the best player in the NFL. I would sign him like that too.
Let me tell you why this was actually good news for Raider fans, because we knew he was going to probably be a Chief for the next 10 years. Okay. It's crazy. 500 million or whatever it was, but how do you feel if you're Chris Jones, who wants a long-term deal? I don't think he's going to hold out this season. He's not going to play.
Yeah,
I agree. You got to pay the guy Chris Jones some money. He's a threat on the defense. The guy can get to the quarterback. And I played against him on Madden a few times, and I keep like, God damn it, Chris Jones.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if he holds out by week 6, I mean, that would be optimal. We won't have to see him for the first time. We'll see what happens. But listen, it's going to handcuff them, potentially in the next year or so to sign some of their other big name guys. But who knows? They could become the next Patriots, where it's just really utilizing and leveraging Mahomes and that offense and Andy Reid and just churning through new guys and low price vets and continuing to win. So hopefully that's not the case and they just fall flat on their face and implode. I would like nothing better.
I kind of agree with that too, because I feel like Andy Reid's not going to be there for another 10 years. I just don't see it. I say he'd be there for at least 5 of the 10 years of that contract, and then he retires. That's just me. He's getting up there in age, and Tom Brady never took a big deal because Melvin Barlow. He never took a big deal because he reconstructed his contract a few times. So, I mean,
yeah, he's also married
different.
to like the highest paid model in the history of everything. He doesn't need the money, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he doesn't need the money. He's a spokesperson for Uggs. Like Tom Brady is on a different level. Like he's a spokesperson for Uggs. Like he has so many other endorsements that's making him way more money than he's getting paid for in the NFL. I mean, he did get paid by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He got paid some good guaranteed money, but he didn't really need the money from the NFL. He got mad endorsements. It's Tom Brady we talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get into the next part of our segment here, and that's ranking the AFC West teams. Oh. And this is on RaidersWires.com too. So they're saying that with a few expectations from each position in the AFC West has now been ranked and counted for, but time to put the rankings all together for the final rankings to see who stacks up as a whole. We all know number 1 is the Kansas City Chiefs. Their top position is quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, tackle, and head coach. They stars Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Mitchell Schwartz, Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu, Harrison Buckner, and head coach Andy Reid. We all know that they had the number 1 offense in the division. We all know this for now. We all know the Chiefs that are the number 1 team in the AFC West. It's sad for me as a Raiders fan to say that they're the number 1 team in the AFC West because we don't like any other team in the division. We don't. So, but we got to give credit where credit is due. They are the Super Bowl champions. But this is where they go wrong at. I don't know if y'all saw this article, but this is where they go wrong with. They put the Broncos at number 2. They put the stinking donkeys at number 2. I totally disagree with this. Saying the top positions is the defensive interior, linebacker, safety, and kick squad. What? Then they say Philip Lindsay's a star, which he is. Cortland Sutton, Jarrell Casey, Mike Purcell, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Alexander Johnson, and Justin Simmons. They said, according to Raiders Wire, they said it's the best defense in the division. This is the same defense from last year that lost to the Chicago Bears in the 4th quarter when the Bears went down and terribly just came back in the 4th quarter within 2 minutes of the game. But this is the best defense in the division. I totally disagree with that. Number 3, they will have us at number 3, which I wish I will flip-flop this. In my personal opinion, I think we have way more top positions than what it says. It says running back, guard, and center. I think we got a top position in wide receiver. In my personal opinion, I think we got a top tight end in here too. They do have him as a star. And then they have the Chargers at number 4. Now, ranking us on paper, do you feel that we should flip flop with the Broncos? That we should be number 2 and they should be number 3? In my personal opinion, because I just, it's just something about the donkeys. I don't trust Drew Lock. I don't trust that offense. I don't trust John Elway as an owner. I just don't trust nothing the donkeys would do over there. So what are y'all opinions about these rankings?
The Broncos seem to be kind of the darlings, outside of the Chiefs in the pundits' eyes this year. I think they really like what they did in the draft. I think they really want to get behind another, young cornerback in Drew Lock. I think they want Drew Lock to be, they want him to succeed. Listen, the Broncos still have Von Miller, who in my mind, Bosa's up there, but he's still one of the scariest guys in the division on defense. And I mean, they beat us in that last game. Say what you want. The Raiders should have won that game. But I mean, the Broncos still could beat us in a head-to-head, and they did once last year. So, I mean, personally, I honestly think that the Raiders have a better team this year than the Broncos. But if somebody wants to dissect it and look at last year's performance and the players that they have that have actually performed on the field, not the Henry Ruggses, who we hope is going to be good, the Arnett's, who we hope is going to be able to play some cornerback, and some of the guys that we brought in that we hope can gel and make impact on defense, then sure, go ahead. All I care about is this. The Raiders are in the playoffs next year. If the Raiders have to get the third playoff spot in the division and the Chiefs and the Broncos also get in there, I don't care. Just make the playoffs, and I don't care who people consider as better.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I do think defensively, I think it's fair to say they probably have an edge over the Raiders. But offensively, I think that we have more proven entities like Tyrell Williams and Hunter Renfrow instead of Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler, who could be good, but
or Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I would argue that our second tight end is better than their starting tight end. But I think there is a real chance that they end up with a pretty similar record to us. I think it might come down to that last game to decide whether we're the 5 seed or the 6 seed. I think second or third in the division. I do think they're going to win 8, 9, 10 games. I do. I actually am a Drew Lock believer, but I do think on paper we have a better roster.
Thank you so much, Watts Raider. Thank you so much, Watts Raider, for the $5 holla. Thank you so much, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it. But everybody that's watching right now in the chat, make sure y'all follow Allaborde Raiders. The link is in the description. Make sure y'all go over there and follow him. He has some great Madden stuff when it comes to Raiders. He got some great stuff, too, as far as like Raiders topics and everything of that nature. Definitely go over there and subscribe to his channel. Turn on the notification bells as well. So, as far as ranking the AFC West teams, I think Raiders should be number 2. Denver should be number 3. And just to let y'all know, if we get Clowney, we can be special. That's what Rots Raider said. I definitely agree. We will be special if we could get Javion Clowney. So let's just go on to the next topic that we have at hand here. Thank you for hanging around with us, Allaborde Raider. Thank you for hanging around with us. We really do appreciate it. We did talk about the Patrick Mahomes. We talked about the Javion Clowney. We talked about the AFC West teams. Okay, so ESPN again is doing another projection.
Here we go.
That Raiders running back Josh Jacobs will have a total of 1,400 yards in 2020. Now, I really want to get to this article because at the end of the day, this is an interesting because even like according to RaidersWire.com, they do have a topic. Could Josh Jacobs win the rushing title in 2020? And then they come back with the 1,400 yards in 2020. So we all know he had a fantastic rookie season. We all know what Josh Jacobs can do when he's healthy. According to Mike Clay of ESPN, he says that Jacob returns as the feature back for the Raiders following an extremely impressive rookie campaign. The 2019 first-round pick averaged as a healthy 4.7 yards per catch, 242 attempts, ranked 4th among running backs with 2.25 yards after the catch. So Jacob flashed with the 4 top 10 fantasy weeks, but missed 3 games because of injury, and his output was capped by limited role as a receiver with 27 targets. John Gruden has consistently expressed the desire to target Jacobs more often, which adds optimism that Jacobs can become a workhorse back. So he's saying 1,400 total yards for Jacobs in 2020. What is your response to that?
All aboard. Yeah, I'll let you start on this one, pal.
I listen. Jacobs is a stud. I mean, if he stays healthy, he. It was amazing to watch someone so young look like everything around him is so slow. I mean, there was a run I remember watching against the Packers. I think the game might have already been out of hand, but he cut back like 7 different times for like a 30-yard gain. So listen, 1,400 yards, 1,500. I would just like to see him get in the end zone a little more, is all, because he had like what 6, 7 touchdowns. If he can get to 10, then I'm fine with whatever he ended up with last season, 1,150. I just want to see him in the end zone more, but yeah, he's going to be good for a while.
Yeah, I have to kind of second that. I don't really know what his total, yardage total is going to be. I think that he's going to be a focal point of the Raiders offense for sure. Part of me is kind of conflicted in that I do think the Raiders are going to utilize him a little bit more in the passing game, which will up his numbers. But I continue to kind of really feel like Gruden is going to spread the ball around, not just to the outside, to the new wide receivers and the new weapons, but to he's going to continue to use Richard, not just out of the backfield, but, in the running game. And Bowden Jr. is going to get a lot of action, I think, in the running game as well as out of the backfield. So I think you have a lot more weapons now that Gruden can use and not just plug Jacobs again and again and again. That being said, if you have, the biggest gun on your team, you're going to, you should fire it as many times as possible. I think they're going to kind of try to balance not wearing him out and saving him to the end of the year and a hopeful playoff run. And then also, just utilizing him as much as possible. So I think that he doesn't get that. He's similar to last year, but he's even more effective. And like Ronnie said, I think he scores more touchdowns this year.
Yeah, I think he will score more touchdowns this year, but I don't want to kill him to have like 350 attempts like Derrick Henry had last year. I don't want to kill him, especially if we make the playoffs. We don't want to wear him out. So I know we got the Jalen Richard back there, Ross Smith, the Lynn Bowden Juniors, completely understanding that. But at the same time, I think 1,400 is big excessive, in my personal opinion, knowing that we have so many other weapons on that offense. I think he will get the same amount of yards, but probably a little tab more than what he had last year. But I think he will have more touchdowns than rushing yards. And do I think he should win the rushing title? I don't think he would either, just because of the workhorse of what we have to give for Josh Jacobs. Mind you, how many surgeries this guy had? I know from what I saw on his Instagram story last year, he got his shoulder surgery, and he has some type of leg surgery. I don't know if it was Achilles or a calf or something, but I saw 2 surgeries on Josh Jacobs' Instagram story last year. So it was like an unexpected surgery that he had to get. So in my personal opinion, I think he won't get the 1,400 yards. I completely disagree with this. I don't see it happening. Jalen Richard is going to get some catches out of the backfield. So is Lynn Bowden Jr. They're going to take some reps away from Josh Jacobs, especially if he's getting wounded or he's getting tired. They definitely going to need some reps as well. All right, so we want to get into a little bit more serious note here, but make sure, like I said before, make sure everybody go follow Allaborde Raiders on his YouTube channel. Make sure he does have a Patreon on his page as well. Make sure y'all go follow him on Patreon as well. This is a Spotlight Raiders talk, and we're giving you the off-season talk that's going on with the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the next topic that we have is a little bit on a serious note. Should the Raider Nation prepare for the worst-case scenario when it comes to this season? Now, we all know COVID-19 has dramatically altered how the NFL has conducted business in 2020, losing 2 preseason games. The entire offseason seems to make many changes. If you think about it, it's supposed to be a coming out party for the Raiders, with the new stadium and us relocating to Las Vegas. But instead, a global pandemic has forced shift all things in sports in general. We was going to have a massive grand opening week 1 against I think our home opener is against the New Orleans Saints, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. But the issue of many layers to it as far as like social responsibility, social distancing, the profits, the safety of the entire league. The players assuming that 2020 NFL season goes on despite the rising of the COVID-19 numbers. Will there ever be a fan experience? So that is a big question, y'all. Do you think that even we have fans in the stands, and we have heard as well that they might make us sign a waiver to go to these games? I heard that rumor as well. So where do you think is going to stand for the Raiders, and how the Raiders organization should prepare for this, knowing that we just got a brand new stadium during this COVID?
Yeah, I mean, it's getting a little bit late in the game to keep saying it's too early to tell at this point. If you know what I'm saying. I think we have a pretty good idea of what this is going to look like come football season. And I know that it's not something that everybody wants to hear about and think about, but I don't see any way that football games are going to allow fans in there in the 2020 season. I just don't. I don't see it being feasible in any capacity. With what's going on right now with the resurgence in cases in all these different places, the talk that inside, especially in places like the new Allegiant Stadium, inside places are even worse than outside. There's just too many things that are against the NFL and the NFL fans right now. I do think that they're going to go ahead and kick off for week one. They might not have any preseason games. I think they're going to see what the NHL. I think they just announced the NHL is going to go ahead and move forward with their season in August 1st. So they're going to have a couple weeks to see how that works and how the COVID dynamic, because that there's going to be players that get diagnosed, how they deal with that during the season. But yeah, fans, don't get, if you have your tickets, that's awesome. Prepare for a refund, and let's hope next year is better.
Yeah, I mean, it does suck because it's, again, new stadium, new name, big grand opening, but it's unfortunately the reality of the situation. We have to make sure everyone's taking the right precautions to stay healthy. I think if there's a slight chance that there's fans, it will not be full capacity. They'll do that tarp thing and they'll spread people out. I actually made my predictions with the idea that there would be no fans. So I had some games at home where with fans we might be able to win, but without fans, it's pretty neutral. Again, it's unfortunate, but yeah, I think the more you hear about this second wave, or if it's still even the first wave that's just still going, the likelihood of fans in the stands is not great.
I think it sucks that this has to happen during the first year of the Raiders, building our new stadium, and the way it looks inside, it looks incredible. I don't know, man. I really don't know. It's just sad, how things are rising in COVID, and it's really like messing up for even the NBA. We all know what's going on with the NBA with the COVID cases are rising in the state of Florida. I think they should move to Vegas to do the restart. That's just my personal opinion. But right now, I feel like what we're going through is we have to take the precautionary steps to get fans in the stands. Are we going to get fans in the stands this year? I'm kind of optimistic. I think we would, but I'm optimistic at the same time. Like, okay, if we don't get fans in the stands, that's fine by me. So I'm more like playing devil's advocate at in the same time, in the same token. Like, I still have belief that we will, but if we don't, then I'm already at that realization that, okay, we're not going to have no fans. We got to do this a different way. So hopefully the Raider Nation and the Raiders organization will be prepared, because I know it's going to lose money. It's going to lose money as far as revenue going into the stadium. But, at the end of the day, we got to do what we got to do. Got to find a way to, give it some type of fan experience in some instance. Knowing that Las Vegas cases is not really high in the state of Nevada, there's not really high. But at the same time, you still want to take those precautionary reasons as well.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I have a couple pals that were just in Las Vegas for a nice little weekend. Doesn't seem like a lot of people are being extraordinarily virus conservative there, if you know what I'm saying. So who knows? In 2-3 weeks, we could have a different opinion on how Las Vegas looks. And from what I understand, it's not looking fantastic really anywhere except for New Hampshire right now. So let's just hope that people continue to be safe, and in a month or two, maybe we're in a different spot. But I prepare for the worst, just like the article said. I think that everybody should do that. If it turns out that by week, after the Raiders bye, we can go and start going to games, fantastic. If not, I would just prepare that this year, invest in a new ottoman or recliner or something like that, because you're probably going to be watching a lot from home.
I mean, the one thing you could say about, if you're the most positive person is, well, if everybody wears a mask in the stadium, then there should be no problems. But we all know that once you could hand them out to people, but once you get in there, people will take them off and throw them and all this nonsense. So it's just hard for every single person to follow the rules, and it's probably going to ruin it for the people that would follow the rules.
Absolutely. Hopefully, people can, follow the rules, or have a state thing that everybody has to wear a mask, and that so forth. So hopefully we get fans in the stands, but if not, it's absolutely fine with me. Yeah. Speaking of Raiders legends, they saying, according to RaiderRamble.com, they thinking that Nnamdi Asomugha is a lost Raider legend. And I'm going to speak on what it says. It says social media is a mixed bag. On the other hand, it's allowed millions of us to connect with people that we never met in person. But at the same time, they saying a lot. They saw a tweet that's asking for unpopular opinions about the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, one of the first people weighed in and said that former Raider All-Pro corner was overrated, and he saw the message while they respect it was an unpopular take, but it made the person that wrote this article sad in some ways. In an opinion, in the question, how was the brightest star from the darkest days of Oakland has lost some of his shine. So they saying, here's a little refresher of Nnamdi Asomugha. We all know that he had the Philadelphia disaster where he didn't play well for the Philadelphia Eagles. But we have to think about how I see this article, because I'm not going to read all of this. But I think Nnamdi Asomugha, in the dark ages of the Raiders, even though when the Raiders are bad, he was still one of the top corners in the AFC when he played with us, in my personal opinion. Do I think he's a legend? That's the question I want to ask y'all first, because I really don't know if he is. I really don't know. Do you think he's a Raider legend?
How many years do you have to play for one team to be considered a legend? Like, didn't he only play for the Raiders for 4 seasons? It wasn't that long, was it?
Yeah, it was about 3 or 4 seasons that he played with us.
Wait a minute. Let me see this. I think he played for a little bit longer than that. He must have, right? He got drafted in 2003.
Oh, maybe he did play.
Oh, no, yeah. He played from 2003 to 2010. So he was with the Raiders for a pretty solid amount.
Wow. All right, sure.
It don't even seem that long.
No, it doesn't.
The way time flies by, but wow.
Well, I mean, a lot of those years were legit garbage. So, I mean, that whole kind of timeline, people say, tell me players, and I'm just like, I don't even know when that guy played, but it was one of those bad time years. I mean, yeah, he was probably one of the better Raiders cornerbacks that aren't, on that Mount Rushmore of Raiders cornerbacks. He wasn't Willie Brown or Charles Woodson or Michael Hayes or Lester Haynes or any of those guys, but he was probably, probably right below that tier, which is surprising because he made all-pro teams 4 times in his career, which is, I don't even know how many other Raiders have done that. I think 2 first teams and a couple times second teams. So, I mean, in his time at the Raiders, he was a dominant cornerback, probably just as much as anybody in the league. And I think they're trying to compare him to Revis, who I think just had a couple more big interceptions and had some teams that went actually to the playoffs, which obviously Nnamdi Asomugha did not.
So I think the reason why it seems like, because I have his stats right here, the reason why it seems like he hasn't played with us all that long is because his first 3 seasons, he didn't record an interception. Like, he was borderline bad. Then that 4th season, he had 8. And then that's when it started to run. And then from that season, he was only on the team for 5 years. So that brings up another argument. How long do you have to be good at your position to be considered a legend? Because he was on the team from what I think you said 8 years, but he wasn't good until his 4th season when he had like a monster season. So I still don't know about a legend, but he was a stud for sure.
I mean, he's as much of a legend as, like, you know, Shane Leckler is a legend for the Raiders. You know, he was great.
Or Bruce Gradkowski. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's like, you know, that just is just a rough time, you know, for Raiders for a franchise that has some legit legends and, you know, games and people that, you know, NFL fans talk about. Nnamdi Asomugha just doesn't cut it, but he was for a time a really great player for sure.
I kind of see where y'all coming from now, knowing that listening to y'all, Nnamdi Asomugha was one of those corners that he was good, but he was on a bad team. So of course he gets overlooked. J Dog, no, you're not really late, bro. So we did go through a lot of topics, but at the end of the day, I think not.
You're kind of late. Let's not.
A little bit late. He's a little bit late.
A little bit late, but that's okay.
I try to help him out there.
We're glad you're here, man. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, we're glad you're here, man. Go look at the stats. I want to highlight this from Watts Raider. I have to say that Josh Jacobs will have over 25 carries twice in 2019. He also had 104 with 17 and 12 with 99.
Yeah, there's been some back and forth in the chat regarding Josh Jacobs and his usage, you know, and how much he should be used and how much he was used, etc. You know, I think that the three of us are kind of aligned with how he could and should be used next year. And I think that everybody's kind of on the same page. I think 25 carries is way too much for any running back that's not Derrick Henry in the NFL these days. That's just my opinion.
The one thing I'll say real fast, not to bring it back to Nnamdi Asomugha, but I just thought about it. The one thing he did give us as a Raider fan every season is when you flip on that Pro Bowl and you go, oh, look, there's a Raider helmet. Oh, there's one guy that played for the Raiders. Maybe that's what makes him the legend.
Yeah, because they never punt in the Pro Bowl, so you never saw Shane Leckler. So, yeah, that was pretty much the only time.
Right. Right, exactly. So, like I was saying before, I think Nnamdi is not a legend. Like, as far as like from past time, I mean, he had his years, but does it make him a Raiders legend?
He's nostalgic.
Yeah, it's just nostalgic to me. So, he deserves his props. I do agree with Larry. He doesn't, you know, they did throw away from him. It's just that we was on a bad team. That's why he's very forgotten, because a lot of those players on them teams was just bad. And it was some very depressing years at that time too when he was there. So, of course he's going to get the Pro Bowl nod. Of course he's going to get the note, you know, to be noticed. But it was part of bad teams. We really didn't. I don't even think we went to the playoffs not once with him. So
he was on 2 A&A teams. So
okay, that's not too bad then. But 8-8.
That's what we had to hang our hats on.
Right.
Going 6-0 in the division and missing the playoffs. How is that possible?
How is that even?
That
possible? Was mind-boggling to me that year.
Yeah. I mean, that was a rough time. I mean, that's a good thing though. Everybody that's talking about Trevor Lawrence, everybody that's talking about drafting a quarterback, you know, that kind of time period goes to show you that if you go for it and you miss on your quarterback at the number 1 or number 2 pick, that puts your franchise back a decade, which look at what happened to the Raiders. So, I mean, you know, careful what you wish for. We don't want, you know, the opportunity to pick a Trevor Lawrence and all of a sudden he decides, you know, he really likes surf boarding and smoking marijuana and, growing mushrooms or whatever,
Yeah.
So,
And Carr goes to Chicago and wins the Super Bowl with Khalil Mack.
exactly. So, but anyway.
Yeah. Right. So, speaking of, like I said, we was going to talk about wide receivers later on in the show. This is a question for both of you, Eli and Rodney. Boom or bust? What Nelson Aguilar brings to the Las Vegas Raiders in 2020? Now, this is a question that I did get off of Raider Ramble, but I'm not going to read the article. I want to hear it from y'all two, knowing that I didn't really like Nelson Aguilar in Philadelphia. I could not stand him in Philadelphia. I thought he was like, he had one okay year and that was it. What do you think Nelson Aguilar could bring to this offense? Will he be a boom or will he be a bust?
Rodney, why don't you go ahead and go first?
I feel like that's a trick question because neither. He's going to bring some depth. He'll make some decent catches. Like, I feel like the whole thing with Nelson Aguilar is like, oh, he drops the ball. He had like 2 big drops in big games, and now everyone thinks like he's like Darius Hayward-Bay. But I think he'll come in, he'll do some nice things, he'll show the rookies, the ropes, how to run routes, how to do this. But is he going to have 1,000 yards? No. Is he going to stink? No. But if he does stink, does that mean he's a bust? I mean, we're not expecting all that much from him, so neither.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't, it's good to have Nelson Aguilar as an inconsequential player on your team because that means that 4 other wide receivers are performing at a clip that he doesn't need to see the field that much.
Yep.
And I think that's going to be the case, right? We're hoping that Ruggs is going to step in and be a difference maker. We're hoping that Tyrell Williams is going to have a full season as a starting wide receiver. Renfro displayed what he can do. If he has an exact photocopy season, that's great. And then, okay, great. Nelson Aguilar might get some snaps. It doesn't really matter. I don't think he's going to be boom or bust. I'll tell you what, if he can do something on special teams and actually break a kickoff return, if he can do that one time this year, he has automatically been worth his signing, and that would be considered a boom to me. The Raiders just haven't had I guess Cordarrelle Patterson was effective in the kicking game, but yeah, I don't really see him doing much, but he's gone from a guy that I really didn't know if he was going to make the team. I do think he's going to make the team, and he's going to just be a special teams player and your 4th wide receiver. And how much do we talk about the 4th wide receiver?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a battle for that 4th spot. It's just something that I know Watch Raider was saying, lay off the Washington, the USC Trojans. Which that's fine and dandy and all, but at the end of the day, production has to show. For Nelson Aguilar, I think is boom or bust. It has to be one or the other. He's going to have to show up and show out to make the roster, or he just don't make the roster. It's one or the other. So I go with neither as well, but he could definitely be a good returner. And I know they probably will put Lynn Bowden as a special team specialist as well to help out with Nelson Aguilar, but I was never a big fan of him in Philadelphia. I just thought he stinked in Philadelphia. That's just me.
One thing I'll say, I'm just going to drop this in here and then make no other comment on it. Hunter Renfrow is going to have 1,000 yards. I bet my life on it.
You heard that take here first.
You got to drop that fire and walk away? You're just going to drop that fire right there and just walk away? All right, fair enough.
Yep.
Woo.
I don't think it's insane to say that. I don't really think that he's going to have 1,000 yards. That being said, other than Darren Waller, I don't know if there's a receiver that Carr likes throwing to more than Hunter Renfrow. So, hey, it's not out of the realm of possibility that could happen. Yeah, crazy. Never thought of it until just now.
Hey, that's a hot take. That is a hot take. And when it comes to Eli, he comes with the hot takes. He had his hot takes, especially he had plenty of them in the draft when we did the draft this past year. So he had plenty of hot takes when it came to that.
They're all equal now.
Right. So Carlos said they'll give Renfrow 750 yards. That's easy.
I'm not
I'm not mad at that though.
That's easy.
That's easy.
That's light. That's light.
Yeah.
You can do that. You can do that walking, blindfold. That's, you know what, Rodney? I think you just gave me that.
Well,
I'm with that. I back that.
thank you.
Yeah, we got a double hot take here, and I have to agree. I think
I
third and Renfro is the guy. Third and Renfro is the guy. Sorry, I think can we have 2 1,000-yard receivers? That's a possibility.
I mean, didn't they have one? Didn't they have two in 2016? Crabtree and Amari Cooper both had 1,000 yards. So
And
I don't even know who your other 1,000-yard wide receiver is. I mean, unless it's Waller again, I guess.
If I told you before 2015 that Michael Crabtree was going to have 1,000 yards, you would have laughed in my face because we signed him way at the end of free agency. So I'm telling you, just remember this day, July 6th, 2020, 9:39. Remember this day.
Now, if he does get 1,000 yards, I would take that clip and upload it to the channel. Just give the Raider Nation a reminder of what Allaborde Raider said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be worth scrubbing through this entire episode to find that just to post that. If that
we're an hour and 40 minutes in, so just go a little before.
There you go. Boom.
Right. So I'll just fast forward all the way through. When we get to that spot, it's recorded. Screen recorded. Boom.
I'm so confident in two things. Derek Carr will solidify himself as the guy, and Hunter Renfrow will have 1,000 yards. I'm so confident. I'm not worried.
I like it.
I like it. I like it as well.
Actually, I'm starting to sweat. I shouldn't have said any of this.
Speaking of a question, then we're gonna have some fun with this question because this is a decent conversation. Is the Raiders quarterback Derek Carr worth a NFL fantasy pick? I know a lot of y'all play fantasy. I know I do. I play daily fantasy. I play regular fantasy. Do y'all think Derek Carr is worthy of a fantasy draft pick? In y'all opinion?
I probably wouldn't pick him, but maybe as your see, the thing is this. I think that Derek Carr will have a similar statistical season as last year, which was a good statistical season, but he will have more touchdowns, but not a lot more touchdowns, but more touchdowns. And I think that they will continue to utilize the running game, and John Gruden will continue to pound the ball. So I don't see him having another 30-plus touchdown season. So he's in no way, shape, or form a starting quarterback, on your fantasy team. He might be a QB2 that if, Kyler Murray gets injured, you're putting in Derek Carr. I don't know. I don't know if I would go through it. I think he's going to I think he's going to lead the Raiders to the playoffs. Personally, that's all I give a shit about. But, I'm interested to see what Rodney has to say about it.
Well, I've always said, and this is not even close to a criticism, Derek Carr is not a good fantasy quarterback. But that doesn't – who cares? With all that being said, my answer is yes, because in my league, we start 2 quarterbacks. So he would be my second.
Oh, if y'all start 2 quarterbacks, you have to invite me to that league because I would love to do that. If y'all start 2 quarterbacks.
It's full, but I had an idea that maybe we could – now, I literally had this idea like 5 seconds ago. Do you think we could maybe get like us 3 and a couple more Raider YouTubers, make a fantasy football league and like film stuff for it? Like do a live draft or something like that. I think that might be fun.
I could reach out to like On Air Nation, Samoan Raider, Hardcore Raider. I could see Watts Raider, which he's in the comments right now. If you want to be a part of that, if you heard that Watts Raider, I think that would be awesome for us to do. That would be dope.
I literally just thought of it. It was just something I was going to throw out there.
I wouldn't pick Derek Carr in that league, but yeah, sure.
Unless we start 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Even with the 2 quarterbacks, you wouldn't put Derek Carr as your second quarterback?
We'll have to see. We'll have to see who's on the board. Maybe I'll be able to get Drew Lock instead.
Oh hell no! Come on, man. Drew Lock
Pushing
over Derek Carr in fantasy? No way.
I like Drew Lock.
To be fair, I mean the Broncos' running game really isn't anything to shake a stick at. I think Drew Lock is going to be the engine that drives that offense. He's going to be throwing for 300 yards like every single week. So, I'm just saying.
I mean, Ryan Tannehill did throw more touchdowns than Derek Carr and played like 4 games this whole season. So, I mean, he's not a great fantasy quarterback.
But the question was, would you pick him? Like,
In
say if
my league, I
even,
would.
even in daily fantasy, like DraftKings or FanDuel, for 1 week, would you have Derek Carr up there? Just probably depending on the matchup.
I just think that with Josh Jacobs and Gruden's just love affair with kind of the dink and dunk offense, it's not conducive for any quarterback to sling the ball and really rack up mega yards. So, again, no. Because in a lot of leagues too, you get like points for like 35 plus yard plays and 50 plus yard plays. You don't have those.
Like Jared Goff is always dominating in fantasy football, but in my opinion, I'm taking Derek Carr over Jared Goff 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I would definitely take Derek Carr over Jared Goff. I will start Derek Carr over Jared Goff because I had Goff last year. He did not. He shit the bed. Well, yeah, he shit the bed for me. I didn't mean it. I might have to leave that out, but he definitely shit the bed. Yeah, the Rams struggled last year. That is all the topics that we have for tonight. We are going to take some questions. Do anybody have any questions for Eli, myself, and Rodney of Allaborde Raiders? Make sure y'all put it in the comments right now. We do have 15 minutes until the show is officially over. So y'all do have any questions for all three of us, just let us know. Rodney, I actually just watched your video that you premiered today about, the whole Derek Carr thing. I think you was debating with some Broncos fans or something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is it the live stream today?
Yeah, the live stream today. I thought it was a premiere. My bad.
No, it was a live stream. I don't know if you guys saw Colin Cowherd's top 10 quarterbacks in the AFC. Have you seen this?
No.
Nah.
So here, I'll pull up the list. Or no, I think I have it off the top of my head because I did a video on it, which is coming out shortly. His top 10 quarterbacks in the AFC were Mahomes, Lamar, and Deshaun Watson. I think we would agree those are probably in that order the best three. Then it was Big Ben when healthy. Okay, sure, you can convince me when he's healthy. He's a Hall of Famer. Then it was, who was fifth? Josh Allen, Cam Newton, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Phillip Rivers.
The AFC has really bad quarterbacks.
Yeah, and Derek Carr wasn't in the top 10.
That's weird. What?
Nope. And neither was Ryan Tannehill. I couldn't believe it.
I mean, listen, Derek Carr is not a top 5 quarterback in the AFC, but he beats out right now. He beats out a couple of those guys.
Baker Mayfield threw 21 interceptions last season.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield is not the answer. For anybody's quarterback was. The problem is that Derek Carr is just such a polarizing figure right now where if you don't hate him, you love him apparently, and no one will hear otherwise on either argument. So
I have a theory on that as to why people even people who aren't Raider fans have such a big opinion on Derek Carr. And I was thinking about why? Who cares? He's fine. But the Raiders are so good for football when they're good or bad. It's fun. It's great to make fun of them, and it's great to praise them. They're such a story. But in 2017, they were like this. They were bad, and then they were 6-6 and tied for the division and all this stuff. So the media didn't know what to do. So they were like, his line's not blocking for him, and he cried in that one game. So now everybody on social media has this opinion of Derek Carr, whether you love him or hate him. And it's strange to me. I don't know why he's such a polarizing figure.
And don't forget, that same season, after they were 6-6, he fumbled the ball through the end zone to lose the game against the Cowboys, which in essence ended the season.
Well, don't forget about the no card either.
Well, I mean, listen, you can only do what you can do. The refs are going to ref. I mean, yeah. Derek Carr just needs to keep his hand on the ball, and then you do it again. I mean, listen, I personally think, and I've been on record saying this, Derek Carr can lead the Raiders to the playoffs this year. Absolutely 100% believe he is a quarterback that can do that. Do I think he's the best quarterback in the AFC? Absolutely not. Do I think he's a top elite quarterback? No. But I also don't think you need one, and he doesn't need to be. He needs to be exactly who Derek Carr is. You need to tinker a couple things, put the ball in the end zone, put the ball just over the end zone. If you're in goal, you don't have to keep it here. Just put it there, and the Raiders are in the playoffs. That's all I got to say about that. And yeah.
that's just bogus to me. Philip freaking Rivers, Josh Allen. Like seriously, like they. I'm gonna go. I see on this type of show. It makes me want to go Stephen A. Smith on them, but I'm
Oh,
not.
no.
But it is blasphemous. It is blasphemous. It is just
Asinine.
It's asinine as a 10, as 11, as a 12. That's exactly what it is at the end of the day. So let me go back up. I think we did have some questions. I think it was from Melvin Barlow. He said, "What is Carr final stat line this year?"
Exactly last year's, add 4 touchdowns.
I would say similarly to that. I would say add 6 touchdowns and add 2 more interceptions.
Oh yeah. You got to add a couple picks to that. He's not.
Yeah.
Like what did he throw 8 picks last year?
Mm-hmm. So he'll have like 11, but that's because he's throwing the ball down the field more.
Yeah. I think he's not gonna look as pretty statistically for all these people that are like, look at his stats. They're gonna be fine. He's gonna have a fine statistical year, and that's gonna allow the Raiders to do cooler things on offense. And their big playmakers are gonna turn 5-yard gains into 10-yard gains, and et cetera, et cetera. And and now we just found out that Hunter Renfrow is going to be a 1,000-yard wide receiver, possibly make the Pro Bowl.
For sure.
We'll just do that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your channel right there? Allaborde Raiders.
That was so nice.
That
was so nice of that guy. Wow, thank you. Appreciate it.
That was pretty cool right there, man. That was.
I don't know
cool.
what you're talking about. I don't know.
They said asinine that Peterman didn't make the list. How was what?
What list?
What you mean Peterman didn't make? We don't want Nathan Peterman on the list.
I think that
Absolutely not.
facetious, but that being said, can anybody else? I have a feeling that 2021 offseason that we're gonna have a different feeling on Josh Allen. It's either going to be he is really up there as like a starting quality. Does anybody else not buy Josh Allen as a good quarterback?
I like him.
I like him as a good quarterback, but I understand that he needs to learn how to slide. He loves to scramble. He loves to run the football, but he needs to learn how to slide to keep himself healthy.
See, if you gave me the option of getting either Josh Allen or Baker Mayfield, I'd take Baker Mayfield over Josh Allen.
No.
I would disagree with that.
There's a hot take. I was waiting for it.
That is a hot take.
Throw the ball.
Josh Allen can throw the football, but Baker Mayfield, 21 interceptions is unacceptable. 21 interceptions is very unacceptable for me.
I feel like Josh Allen is like a less accurate Ben Roethlisberger. Like that's all he is to me. Like he gives you the flashy play, he'll jump over somebody, but then he'll throw the ball 10 feet over the wide receiver's head.
Which I don't like. And I like Baker Mayfield's cockiness. I kind of always had a soft spot for Baker Mayfield. I do not think he's a very good quarterback. But again, I don't think Josh Allen's a very good quarterback either.
I mean, it's okay to be wrong. I mean, we all are at some point, so that's fine.
Yeah, everybody's entitled to their opinion as well, too.
I mean, their wrong opinion too. Yeah.
For pretty much, the latter half of, a better half of a decade, I really didn't think Philip Rivers was a very good quarterback either. So, I mean, there you go.
Yeah, but apparently Tyrod Taylor is an upgrade over him, and they're gonna win the wild card spot or something. What are people talking about?
Okay, so Melvin Barlow asked the question: who has a better season, Crosby, Farrell, or Josh Allen from the Jaguars?
I mean, Josh Allen, probably. I mean, here's the thing with Josh Allen. Yeah, he had a great season. He also was never able to be double teamed because that defense was still really good. Max Crosby had the same amount of sacks, and he was the only guy that the line had to focus on. So I think Farrell gets maybe 6.5 sacks this season, but Allen probably gets like 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think that Cleveland Farrell, I've said this a couple times, like he's not going to have double-digit sacks, but he's going to be a quality starting defensive lineman for the Raiders and a leader on that defense, much like a Justin Tuck. Josh Allen is going to have, he's going to have his sacks probably. He might hit double-digit sacks again. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't follow Josh Allen enough to know what he does and how he affects the defense outside of just his stats in the sack department. I don't know how many pressures he gets. I don't know how he plays in the run game. But I can see for Cleveland Farrell just having a pretty good season. And then did he say something about Crosby? I think Crosby's sack numbers go down, but he still continues to be a starting quality defensive end. I mean, a better season. I don't know, Zach Crosby, Max Crosby, Zach Crosby.
I think Matt
huh?
Crosby.
Sidney Crosby.
Hey, I'm a Penguin fan.
Yeah, that's awful. That's just the worst news that I've ever heard.
Okay, that's fine. Again,
I think Matt
you're
Crosby will have a better year than Josh Allen. Just because the Jaguars defense is just decimated, how everybody is just ready to get the hell out of Jacksonville, from offense to defense to special teams. Nobody wants to play there. You paid Nick Foles $88 million for him to be traded within the next year. Like, who wants to play in an organization like that? I don't. So I feel like Max Crosby will have a better year than Josh Allen. Cleveland Farrell probably won't have the year as Josh Allen, but I think he will have a better year than he had in his rookie season.
Here's the thing about Farrell, though. Even if he did have a better season, if you don't watch Raider games, you wouldn't know it because he impacts the game without just sacking the quarterback. Like, people are like, oh, he had 4 sacks. Yeah, that was 2 less than Khalil Mack's rookie season. He played the run really well.
All right, so we do have one from Raider Gems. He says, who would you rather the Raiders have gotten, Yannick or Clowney?
Well, apparently we're still in the hunt for Clowney until he signs somewhere. But I mean, I think we talked about this. Like, Jadeveon Clowney really does affect the game from multiple, angles. He can really stop the run. He is a very good run stopper from the edge. He sets it well, and he can rush the passer. Yannick Ngakoue is kind of, I think, more of just a pass rusher. But he can get after the quarterback and finish when he's around the quarterback. So I'd have to say they're probably going to be looking and getting similar money. So for my money, I think I'd take Jadeveon Clowney. What about you, Roddy?
I mean, I think if you convinced me that they were pretty equal in their skill sets, I would rather pay for someone than trade away a pick that Mayock would get to pick later. Because right now we'd have to trade for Ngakoue. So right. I'd rather Clowney so Mayock can still have that pick.
Yeah, well said. I mean, getting something for, money at this point is nothing.
Yeah.
You can free up some cash, you're good because your roster's set and it's not costing you anything. Just money.
Yeah, I have to agree as well that I would take Clowney over Yannick anyway, in my personal opinion, just because of we don't have to we have to work with a new contract with Yannick if he does get traded with us. We really don't have to worry about that when it comes to Clowney. Now, if we sign Clowney for 1 month, but 1 year, sign him for 1 year with the salary cap that we have, and he has to play for that big contract that he wants. It's a lot of questions with Clowney. Is how was that core muscle? How did that surgery go? A lot of people did see footage on him getting worked out and stuff like that. But at the same time, injuries happen. But Clowney's been injury prone for a couple years now. But right now, I would take Clowney over Yannick.
By the way, sorry, just real fast. Anthony in the chat says, "Yo, I'm super late." No, you're right on time. You're perfect. Right on time.
What do you want to talk about, Anthony?
Yep.
Yeah, what you want to talk about, Anthony? Anthony, make sure you have the questions for us. We would love to have those questions for you. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Because we was about to end it. I mean, if you have any questions for us, we'll answer them for you before we end the show. That's not a problem. So we ready when you are, man. We ready.
I thought this was a 6-hour show. I had 3 more waters right here, and I
don't think I'll be able to do.
I can go make myself another, espresso, and we can go for a little bit.
I don't know about a 6-hour show. I don't know about that. I mean, probably during if the NFL season happens, I'm kind of willing to do a 24-hour show.
Holy cats!
Are you crazy? I wouldn't even do a 6-hour show.
A lot of sports YouTubers is doing 24-hour streams just for the fun of it.
Well, that's dumb.
I don't
Sounds
know
like
if I could.
zero
I've
fun.
been trying to think about if I could pull that off and just have different people come up on the channel, but I don't know, man, because that's
I think
pretty
my
tough.
computer would explode.
It's making me tired just thinking of
So, Melvin Barlow said, if you were Gruden, how would you attack the Chiefs' defense? That's what Melvin Barlow said. If you were Gruden, how would you attack the Chiefs' defense?
15 play drives, man. Just pound the rock, throw it 5 yards.
I would say a prayer before the game and cross my fingers, and that's it.
Yeah, I don't think the Chiefs and I don't think the Raiders and Chiefs are very close in talent this year, and I don't see them kind of, they're going to have to luck their way into potentially taking one of those games this year. But I kind of think I see it, in my mind's eye. They lose both games during the regular season. They win one in the playoffs.
Oh, third time's the charm. We almost beat them in 2018. Does anybody remember that? With the expansion team roster, we almost beat them.
It would have been cool. It would have been cool. I was actually in LA when that happened.
Oh.
I almost got into a fight with Danny Carey from Tool, who was wearing a giant Chiefs sweatshirt. What a terrible human being. What a terrible team.
Bad.
If I was John Gruden, right, and I wanted to attack the Chiefs' defense, I would attack their linebackers. Honestly, I don't really think their linebackers are really that great in coverage. I mean, they're probably good against the run, but in coverage, I don't buy. I think the linebackers are the weakest links, and their linebackers are old.
Well, we got some tight ends, so let's.
So we have a few tight ends that can exploit that. So yeah, I'll say the tight ends, but at the end of the day, like you said, we got to keep that offense off the field. We got to have like a 15 play drive over 10 minutes, something of that nature, and I think I froze again. But
Perfect timing.
So let me see any other ones come up.
I'll just say two things real fast. I appreciate you for actually trying to give a real answer. Well, me and Neil, I just said, I don't know. You could just close your eyes. But
Right.
Realistically, I think we might have to get a little gimmicky, a little triple option reverse or something to steal a touchdown or two. Like, seriously, we might have to pull out like a Lynn Bowden swing out pass or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so they said does signing Clowney will hurt Farrell's development? We already answered that question. We said no. We absolutely said no. We don't think
Eli
that it
100%
will,
agreed with you. He said, no way we should sign Clowney. Yep.
I mean, if we pull it off. Oh yeah, Breeland is sorry. Rashard Breeland is terrible at the corner position for the Chiefs. He's just hot garbage. I'm sorry. That's just he was garbage with the Washington Redskins too. Like he was just oh my god, he was just terrible. It's another question that I missed about. Somebody said something about kickers. If I'm not mistaken, I can't find it for some reason.
Daniel Carlson.
I like the idea of signing Clowney, but forces Farrell to take a back seat, makes him the 4th overall pick, look like a bust where we could have had Josh Allen. I understand that, but at the same time, he will learn from Clowney more than being a bust. We said this before.
Yeah, and don't forget, Cleveland Farrell can play all along the defensive line. I mean, you can have him play opposite Clowney. You can play him as well as Max Crosby and Clowney in your is it the race car? What they have a cool name for it. Whatever their pass rush setup is, they have a really cool name.
I forgot.
The Ferrari, I think it's like the Ferrari like lineup or something like that. Whatever it is, they have Cleveland Farrell will play in the inside during those passing downs, so he'll be able to play and continue to be what they want, which is a stout. Defensive lineman that can play up and down the defensive line and continue to bring pressure and solid play in and out. That's why they got him at number 4. Yeah. Granted, they could have gotten him at number whatever other than 4, but he's already on the team right now.
But
you got to Clowney if you can get him.
If they waited to 24, then they would have missed out on Jacobs or Abram. You wouldn't have got one of those guys.
See?
So listen, for all the Raider fans that are upset we took him at 4, just close your eyes and imagine that we actually took Crosby at 4 and we got Farrell in the 4th round, and everything's fine.
Either way. Either way,
we got a double-digit sack guy.
We got the guy that we thought that fit our offense.
Yeah.
Our defense.
Our defense, yeah.
Farrell is a good body, a trade bait later. I don't know about trade bait. I wouldn't think trade bait.
7 years.
Depending on how productive he is. If he's not be up to par the next couple of years, it's a possible trade.
But that's
in some ways.
So
but,
that's the good thing about
I don't think so.
That's a good thing about signing Clowney. You're only signing him for this year. So, and I think that's, again, and I said this earlier, but that's the difference between Adams and then, like Rodney said, Ngakoue. You're not trading to have him for a long-term contract, so you're not really messing up Crosby or Cleveland Farrell, because after this year, he's gone anyway. You're just adding to your depth of the defensive line now. So if anything, it's giving Cleveland Farrell another year to get better. So for 2021, he is a stud or he's not.
What's going on, Bill McMahon? He came in and he has a question. Are the Raiders going to trade a wide receiver to New England? No, we're not. We do not want to trade a team to a bunch of cheaters. Absolutely not. We're not going to trade. Robbie, you guys, I know you got your cam down. Do you think we're going to trade a wide receiver to New England? Hell no. I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah. I can't see Ronnie. I can hear him now. That's all that matters.
There's no way I'm going to trade a wide receiver to the New England Patriots where the New England Patriots cheated against the Cincinnati Bengals. You recorded film of the Cincinnati Bengals out of all teams. If you really wanted to beat a team, you could have looked at the Kansas City Chiefs at least. Yeah,
that was why.
We don't care. We're not sending no wide receiver over to New England. We're not doing it.
No.
Absolutely not. They said, how many sacks does Crosby get with Clowney and how many without Clowney?
I don't know. I don't think it changes all that much.
I think he'll still get the same amount that he had this past year, but I think he won't get as much that he did. I think he'll get if he does, he probably get 2 more sacks than he had last year. But without Clowney, he was already doing great. So there's really no big difference there. Even with Clowney, he probably get a little bit more because he won't be the main target. Clowney would be like the double team guy that you want to double team. It helps, but I don't know. I can see Crosby being Crosby.
I continuously say this, but Crosby's numbers are a little inflated because you have 4 or 5 sacks in that one game. So if you really look at it, his pressures, he had a lot of sacks. He had double-digit sacks, but he didn't have a top-tier amount of quarterback pressures last year. Jadeveon Clowney in a couple less games had more pressures than he did. So I would say that I bet you the sack total probably doesn't, like Roddy says, doesn't change all that much, maybe 1 or 2 less or equal or more or something like that. I don't see him having many more than 10 or 11 sacks in any case. But I think that together, they're just going to be a better defensive line, and they're going to put more pressure on the quarterback across the whole and win more games. That's all that matters.
Right. But we're going to end the show now because it is past our 2-hour mark. I want to thank Allaborde Raiders for coming on to the show. It's been a while trying to get him on because I know he's a busy guy outside of being on YouTube. But thank you for coming up, man. Thanks for coming on to the show. We really do appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
It was great talking Raiders with you, man. Thanks so much, Rodney. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And make sure y'all go follow Rodney of Allaborde Raiders on his YouTube channel. The link is in the description. He does have his Patreon there as well for all the behind-the-scenes stuff. He has some great Madden stuff that he's going along with. But one more thing, though, I have to ask you. Are you playing against this year's regular season, right, on Madden?
That's a great question.
How is that even possible? Because I'm trying to do that. I
was
downloaded the
really
rosters.
interested his answer to this.
Okay, so I did initially, before the draft, I did a series where in Madden, I simmed to the 2021 season. I was owner mode, so I was able to get a new stadium, change the name, blah, blah, blah. And I just happened to draft Henry Ruggs. That was complete luck. But the rest of the, like KJ Hamler, I got in the second round. It was all like messed up. So now what I'm doing is I have the updated rosters again, and I play in the London stadium to get the new stadium, feel. But I just go into exhibition games. It's not franchise mode. So I set up like week 1, I'm playing the Panthers in Carolina, and I have the updated rosters. So that's all really. That's why I don't say it's a franchise mode. That's why the title of the videos are playing through the schedule. Like I can't play the playoffs, unfortunately, because it's just exhibition, but that's essentially what I do.
But the Raiders will.
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for coming on, man. Eli, it's been a pleasure having you on every single week. That is my co-host. Oh, look at the doggy.
This dog's name is Crosby, by the way.
That's awesome. That is awesome, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're subscribed to Allaborde Raiders. And we'll see y'all in the next video, in the next live stream. We're out of here, y'all. Peace.
Take it easy.
I'm Darion of the Spotlight Raiders Talk, and you're watching Fan to Fan Network, the voice that sports fans deserve. Just win, baby.
Once a Raider, bruh, always a Raider, bruh. Shit simple as that. You look silver and black. Lot of bread invested in that O-line. Car insurance cost all.